everyone. My name is Susanna and I'm a marketing coordinator at Nelson Cengage. So I'm just going to start tonight's session just with an acknowledgement of country. So in the spirit of reconciliation, Cengage Australia acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. And then just for a little bit of housekeeping. So this webinar again is being recorded. We could go back one slide. Thank you. So it's being recorded and the recording plus the slides will be emailed out to everyone who's registered next week. If you have any questions for our panelists, please put them in the Q&A, just so that way we can keep track of any questions that you are asking. And then if you have any comments or if you'd like to continue to talk amongst yourselves, please use the chat. And then if you have any post-event questions or if something pops up, please contact us at ost.secondary@cengage.com and we'll be able to direct you to the right person who can answer your questions there. So with that, I'm going to pass over to Robert, who you definitely want to hear to speak more than me. So he's going to take you through tonight's webinar with Sarah.
Okay, thanks, Susanna, and welcome everybody. And also welcome to Sarah Hamper, who's going to be joining me today. And for the next hour, we're hoping to show you how New Century Maths is programming the new syllabus and also give you a preview of some of the new features and all this, also the existing features of New Century Maths 7 to 10, because as you can see from that previous slide, we're into our third edition now, and our last edition was only published in 2020 in preparation for this new syllabus. So we made a lot of changes with that edition. So this time around, we're just filling in the gaps and making sure everything's mapped to the new topics. So basically, it's a new edition for a new math syllabus. We've got years 7 and 9 being implemented next year, and then years 8 and 10 being implemented in 2025. It's only 10 to 15% change in content, I guess, but the big deal is it's the restructure. So things are being named differently and things are being sorted and moved around between stages as well. So we're still going ahead with 6 books, including advanced editions for years 9 and 10. We have a new learning platform, digital platform called Nelson MindTap, which is basically the digital version of the textbook in module form. And we call it courseware. And then we have the resources integrated into the chapters, including videos, simulations, and online quizzes. So as you probably know by now, stage 5 is now the stage 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, or the stage 5 continuum is being replaced by stage 5 core topics and path topics, where the core topics are compulsory and the optional path topics make up the rest of the course. So our years 9 and 10 standard books will continue to cater for those students who are heading towards HSC Maths Standard. So it will, and you can see by the cover there, it will include all the core and all the paths that are relevant to standard. And then our years 9 and 10 advanced books will cater for students heading towards HSC Maths Advanced and Extension courses. So the cover of those books for the year 9 book looks like this. So it covers all the core and all the paths. So students learning from these books will get full coverage of the entire stage 5 course. And then it's up to the schools to select which paths are more appropriate to them. Okay. A while ago, I surveyed some teachers on what they thought was the most important asset of a maths series. I made the survey open-ended so they could say anything they liked. I didn't have these categories set up, and I asked them to name their top 3 features that they value in a textbook series. And these were the results that came up the most often. These were the most significant ones. So you can see differentiation is right up there at the top. And and then it goes all the way down to real life applications and examples last. Sarah, is there any of those that resonate with you or that you would like to expand on?
Oh, absolutely. All of them. But look, differentiation being at the top, I completely understand about that one. Being so high, I mean, at the school I'm at, we have a comprehensive high school, and those junior years, you know, there's mixed classes, and particularly when they're coming into high school. So to be able to differentiate between the levels, but even as they get through, you know, moving in stage 5, they can, even at the top end, they can be such difference in where the different students are at, and you need to differentiate between your class even there. So with teacher shortages that are around at the moment, I talk to lots of other teachers too, and I know in many schools, you know, we need to have resources that we can refer to. If you can get a casual that can come into the school and actually teach some maths, having those clear worked examples, books that are easy for the students to access and use. Number 6, chunking of the content, highlighting the important points. They're all things that across the series, I think the students can keep seeing in the layout of the text easily each time they look at the book. I also think that number 7, personally, I put that a bit higher, but how many can you get at number 1? It's a bit tricky. So real life applications and examples, really where we're pushing more of now, not just, you know, we need to know our basics and have all our skills there, but we need to be able to apply and really interpret questions and analyze. So they've become really important too, particularly moving into stage 6 as well with our courses. So there's lots of relevant parts in those dot points, I think.
Yeah, I mean, real life applications and examples did come up. I mean, these 7 like were the top ones, and then there's a big gap between the ones that came up next. So yeah, they're all pretty important, and I'm happy to say that New Century Maths does cover all of those 7 features. Okay, next question, and I want you all to think about this. You don't have to put it in the chat, but just say it out loud to yourself. Why did the K-10 maths syllabus have to change? My next slide's got some of the answers. It's not one big answer, but a lot of little answers. Sarah, what's your main reason, do you think, that the syllabus had to change?
Well, it does need to align more with, I guess, where we're heading with our stage 6 content, and I guess just staying modern with what we're teaching and being able to help your students achieve their best endpoint, their personal best. So letting them go as far as they can, and not just saying, well, this is a 5.1 and you'll only work in there. And the previous course did that to some extent. You know, you can pull your 5.2 in with, if your 5.1 is a little bit more capable, or even 5.3, some of that content come into 5.2. But I guess this allows you to build your own course and allow students to work more to their capacity, possibly.
Yeah, yep. Okay, here are the answers. First of all, it doesn't seem so long, but it has been 10 years since the last syllabus was implemented. Exactly 10 years. In the meantime, there's also been a New South Wales curriculum review and a revised Australian curriculum. As Sarah said, to be better aligned to the new HSC courses. I personally like the stage 5 continuum. I think we've had it for almost 20 years now, but we were starting as teachers, as schools, we're starting to group students into stage 5.1, 5.2, 5.3 boxes or classes, and that was not the intention. It was meant to be points on a continuum rather than actual categories, and also we were finding that teachers were having such a hard time getting through all the content that when students got to year 11, they're often underprepared for HSC Maths Advanced. There was just so many prerequisite topics for students to start Maths Advanced, but they weren't getting there. So the first topic might be functions in year 11, and they're meant to know all the functions, all the graphs, and they just didn't know it. So they really had to learn it from scratch, and then also too much content also came up. Sarah, do you have anything to add?
Oh, I can see people writing in the chat about they liked the continuum, and look, I liked the continuum too. I've been teaching a long time, and I thought I was flexible within it, but I guess this is the new structure we have to go with. So it's just there, and we have to use it. So
yeah. Okay, Sharon asked, so we all have to learn networks? Well, no, not necessarily. It's that's the whole point with paths. You can choose which ones you want to teach, and you don't have to teach everything. You have to teach what's suitable for your school and your students. So that sort of makes it more flexible. Whereas in the old days, we had to teach, like if we were teaching a 5.3 class, we had to teach all of 5.3. If we were teaching a 5.2 class, we had to teach all of 5.2 and perhaps extend them. Okay. Oh, also the New South Wales Curriculum Review, which was in 2020, and I did mention that we did publish our previous edition in 2020 because we tried to take some of Professor Master's recommendations and implement it in the second edition. So we were able to use that opportunity to update the content, the topics, so that we tried to second guess what was going to be in the new syllabus. And we also updated all the theory and all the formulas so that it would be consistent with stage 6. And that's worked in our favour. What Jeff Masters found was that our maths achievement levels were declining and our syllabuses were overcrowded and inflexible. So they were too easy for some students, too hard for others. And we were also leaving those lower achieving students behind because we were so obsessed with completing the program, the syllabus, that we weren't helping those students build up their really basic skills. So inadvertently, the old syllabuses were promoting a tick box to teaching syllabus dot points rather than teaching maths. And there's also up to a 6-year difference in abilities in each year level. So one of the recommendations, there were many, but one of them that will resonate with us is that all new syllabus will describe core learning, stripped down to focus on what is essential. So everyone should learn the core topics, and that will ensure teachers can have the flexibility they need to teach to a variety of different student abilities within the one classroom. So as long as everyone's going for the core and being really good with the core skills and knowledge, then after that, schools can decide how they're going to program what they're going to teach. Okay, Sarah, anything to add?
Oh, just, different topics spring to mind when I think about all of this, and you're trying to get the networks in, you think everybody needs to use it. And then you have those 5.3 students who really need to know their geometry really well to go through to that high level maths in stage 6. And then you sort of got to balance out, well, they're not necessarily going to be needing networks if they're not doing standard. So maybe it does just make a few more allowances for our really top performing students to get to that path and still be able to work deeply through enough content that they need so they're well prepared for stage 6.
Okay, so we're going to just really briefly talk about what's changed because, as I said, it's only 10 to 15%. And we did make a video last term going through the whole syllabus from stage 3 to stage 5. And you can always look that up on YouTube. So stage 5 is now more rigorous than what it was before. It's meant to encourage aspiration because stage 5.1 isn't really high enough or isn't really what we should be aiming for. So we've got a core that is now more than stage 5.1. It's actually up to the middle of stage 5. And it's basically all the topics that's foundation for mathematics standard 2 in stage 6. So the core has less geometry and probability, but more statistics because there's more statistics in the world today, and there's also more statistics in the math standard course. So the content has been decluttered, refined, and moved around. And because stage 5 is now, because we're including all, having to get through all the content, some students can start stage 5 in year 8. So that's, I guess, the expectation for those students. You'll often find year 7, 8 students being bored because they're really good at maths and they want to learn more topics, harder topics, because they learnt it all really well in primary school. But I mean, they tend to be the exception. But we need to supplement their learning in stage 4 with some stage 5 work. Okay, this is the video that I was talking about. So in March we made a video going through the syllabus in detail. You can find it on the Nelson Secondary YouTube channel. So just go on YouTube and do a search on Nelson Secondary. And this video will come up because it's had over 500 views. And if you're a nerd, then you'll sit through it the whole 1 hour and 10 minutes. If you're not, then watch it in like 15-minute increments and play it at 1.5 speed. Okay, so what's new to stage 4? As you can see, there's not much there. Applications of linear equations, converting between rates, nominal versus ordinal data, pictograms, infographics, and the shape of a distribution. And then what's been taken out, time calculations and time differences has gone to stage 3. Statistics of samples versus population. And then 3-step equations have been moved out of stage 4. So in stage 4 now, we only stop, we can stop at 2-step equations, and only those students who are good at algebra, you can teach them harder ones. And then the translations, reflections, rotations on the number line, on the number plane, and the line and rotational symmetry, that's also gone to stage 5 path. Sarah, why has it gone to stage 5 path advanced? Do you remember we were talking about this the other day?
Yeah. No, I think the preparation for the advanced course with the transformations is more relevant if you've got it at stage 5 path. I think, you know, they've been doing it at stage 4, they come into year 7 sort of thing, and we dabble in all those things from primary school, and then they're just left alone for a few years. And then we hit them again year 11 and 12, and we want to talk all about all the functions and so on, and bring all this terminology back in. So it's probably best that it's more recent in their minds, I think would be good.
Yeah, and I did say that geometry is less important these days. So it's actually been moved to stage 5 path extension. So you've got your congruent figures and you've got your congruent triangle tests. So actually no similar and congruent triangles or figures in stage 4 or stage 5 core. It's all gone to a path topic as extension. So it's like a boutique topic now, I guess, geometry. And it's for students going on to do vectors, I guess, in stage 6. Okay, new in stage 5, introduction to networks, applications of linear and quadratic equations, absolute error and percentage error, compass bearings. We taught this 20 years ago, the compass bearings where it's an acute angle between north, south, or towards east or west. The tree diagrams with probabilities on the branches, which we teach in stage 6. And then there's a new is similar to symbol, the similarity symbol. Instead of the 3 vertical bars, it's now the tilde symbol, the squiggly line. And then also new to stage 5 core is standard deviation, interquartile range, box plots, bivariate data, and scatter plots, line and best fit, association versus causation. So this stuff used to be stage 5.2, 5.3, but now all stage 5 students are expected to learn it. So that's quite challenging. But I remember someone saying, well, that's all covered in the standard course as well. So that's why it's in the core. Okay, also for a path advanced, we've got logarithmic scales, graphing linear inequalities, which is regions, which we used to teach, and also domain and range. And then path extension, we've got all the harder geometry there, including the congruent and similar triangle proofs and the angle sum of a polygon. Okay, and what's been taken out? Not much. It is not that much decluttered, but I guess they're saying that these advanced students and should be able to handle all of this. So what's been taken out is digital memory, and what's been moved to path from core is graphing circles, Venn diagrams, and two-way tables. So the core, the probability has been simplified for stage 5 core. Okay, now this is what our scope and sequence looks like. It's still a work in progress. So if you look at year 7, there's been no change in the topics. It's more or less the same topic names. So chapters 1 to 12, these are the typical topics or chapters you would expect to find in the year 7 book. Now have a look at year 8. Now what's changed there is there's no more congruent figures, and we've taken time out, like it's now just ratios and rates. So to fill in the gap, we've decided to introduce an extension topic called similar figures and surface area, which is stage 5 core. And then throughout the book, throughout all the chapters, we've also included stage 5 work, some extension work. So that will be optional for schools and teachers and classes who want to learn that. So here's an example of our table of contents from the Year 7 book. So this is the chapter called Whole Numbers. And you'll notice that in the margin, we've actually got the syllabus codes. So the 3 at the start there stands for stage 3. AR stands for additive reasoning, and 01 is just the number. So here we've got 4, I think this is indices, number 1. So all our table of contents have syllabus codes next to it to show you that it's explicitly mapped to the syllabus. We're making ourselves accountable there. And then we've included extension work as well. So we've got long division, which used to be in the syllabus, but isn't in it anymore. We've got Roman numerals here, and we've also got lowest common multiple, which has also been recently taken out of the syllabus. Yeah, Sarah, do you have anything to add? Or is all good?
No, all good.
Okay, and then with Year 8, here's some examples of how we're including stage 5 work. So the last 2 chapters are called graphing linear equations and similar figures and surface area. So what's there in red is the stage 5 work. So we've decided to include in graphic linear equations the gradient of a line and the linear equation y equals mx plus c. So what's that? The gradient intercept formula. And then with similar figures and surface area, they're doing they're learning about similar figures, and they're also doing scale drawings and surface area of a prism and cylinder. And I recall a while, I mean, maybe last century, we did used to teach surface area in Year 8 as well. Okay, New Century Maths 9 and New Century Maths 9 Advanced. So these are the pathways that are operating in parallel. So we've got 13 chapters. So on the left-hand side, we've got, again, the chapter names haven't really changed from the last edition. What's new is networks. So we've included it in chapter 6 to go with geometry. Why is congruent being crossed out there, Sarah, in chapter 13?
Because it's moved from the core section.
That's right.
The advanced pathway.
That's right. And then in the right-hand side, anything that's red there is different to the chapter on the left. It's got more content in it. And it's also got less revision. So instead of algebra, we've got an expanded algebra topic called products and factors. Instead of Pythagoras' theorem, we've got surds and Pythagoras' theorem. And in fact, there's only four chapters there that are identical. So geometry, earning money, analyzing data, and probability. There's no path work there. So that's why the chapters are identical. So if I show you chapter 1, this is showing you how the 2 chapters differ. So in our standard book, it's called algebra, and it goes from 1.01 to 1.09. So it stops at expanding binomial products. And then products and factors chapter in the advanced book starts at 101 and goes all the way to 115. So it does all those perfect squares, difference of 2 squares, all those factorizations, harder factorizations. So from the start of Year 9, those students, those advanced students, are going ahead and doing these harder work. And why don't they do these first 2? Why is that missed out? Because that's stage 4 work. So we assume that they already know that stuff. So we start with adding and subtracting terms. And then with Pythagoras' theorem, for the standard book, it goes from 1 to 8. And then for the advanced book, it goes from 1 to 7. It skips Pythagoras' theorem because that was done in Year 8, but it goes straight to finding the hypotenuse. And then it goes off into surds and operations of surds. And then it ends with Pythagorean triads, okay? Because Pythagoras' theorem problems goes as 2.07. Yeah, okay. Now, when we get to Year 10, we've got those topics in parallel again, but the differences between the books become even more vast. So you'll notice that we've got this sea of red on the right-hand side. So the first chapter is for both books is interest and depreciation. And that's like a financial maths topic. So it's all core, but everything here is has got extra content to the one on the left. So here we've crossed out inequalities because inequalities is not core. So it's gone to here. Simultaneous equations is no longer core, so it's being crossed out. And then when we get to the bottom here, so it ends with probability, but there are 4 bonus chapters that we have for any students who are in this pathway, but may be thinking of doing advanced and needs to be upskilled. So we have got simultaneous equations down here, products and factors, surds and quadratic equations and the parabola. Up here, we go all the way down to chapter 12, geometry. But for those students who are going on to Maths Extension 1, they may want to do functions, polynomials, circle geometry, and then those students who might want to do standard can do networks there. So in this way, we've covered everything with the Maths Standard book. Okay, any questions or any comments, Sarah?
I always think with that, just not the advanced book, the one on the left, the sort of 5.2-ish book, those bonus chapters, I mean, the simultaneous equations has gone into the optional one. There are just students who are sort of a bit borderline. So to have it all still in one book is really helpful. That just allows for a greater, the flexibility when you're teaching and the students you might have, and, whether they're going to head into that advanced pathway or end up in the standard. So it's just useful to have those extra, I guess, more academic chapters, not the applied maths.
Yeah, okay. There's some questions.
Someone's asking something about the circle geometry.
Circle geometry, yeah. I know we're quite surprised, circle geometry, why is it still there? Because it's still in the syllabus. Even though it's not in stage 6 anymore, it's still in the syllabus. So my guess is that for students who, and for schools who want to teach it as an extension topic on its own, like as a geometry topic. So yeah, I didn't expect circle geometries to still be in the syllabus, but there you go. I mean, some people love circle geometry. And there was another question about where's logarithms. Well, here it is in chapter 6. So we put it in with equations, inequalities, and logarithms, because logarithms is also in the syllabus. And I think we've gone pretty far, because we used to only teach logarithms in year 12. Now we teach it in year 11. A while back, we also taught it as a option topic in year 10. So we've actually moved it into like earlier in year 10, so that students are learning more about logarithms early in year 10. Logarithmic scales is also now a big deal. So it's accessible to everyone now. Okay, so this is the year 10 book. So we've got two topics. We've got the equations topic. Now you'll notice that for the standard students, it's a very short topic. It's only 4 sections long, because it's only really equations with algebraic fractions, equations, problems, and equations and formulas. But for the advanced student heading towards the Maths Advanced course in year 11, there's all the other stuff. So there's the quadratic equations, cubic equations, changing the subject, there's the inequalities and the logarithms, and the exponential and logarithmic equations. So it's good to be teaching this as chapter 6 early or in the middle of year 10, not something that's rushed through right at the end. So it's really preparing students for year 11, and it's allowing these ideas and these skills to sink in quite early. Okay. And then for graphing curves, something similar here. For the year 10 standard, there's 8 sections in it, and it covers all the basic graphs, but for year 10 advanced, it covers a lot more complex graphs. So you've got the harder quadratic equations involving the transformations, you've got the cubic equations, you've got the power equations, the hyperbola, and the circle. So if students do this topic properly and do deep coverage of it, they'll be really prepared for functions, won't they, Sarah? They will know.
Absolutely, I hope so.
yeah, they will be able to approach it really well.
And just
Yeah.
the application, maybe they'll have their skills there and be able to move on to those application questions more easily. That's the biggest problem. I think that they, even with those logarithmic scales, bringing that in now, there are questions in HSC papers I've seen with things like that. And just the application, we can do the skills, but we've got to get to the, being able to reason and interpret. So they're sort of coming in now a bit earlier, might give them more of a chance to get their heads around these sorts of questions.
Yeah. I know some teachers criticize that, are we putting students into standard advanced categories really early at the start of year 9? That's a fair point. To those teachers, I would say, well, then give them the advanced book to use, like teach them from the advanced book, and then you can be sure nothing will be left out. And having said that, there are students who will not do Maths Advanced and you know that they won't from the beginning of year 9. So you're doing them a disservice by trying to make them do it if they can't manipulate fractions or they don't know their rates and ratios, like they're not passing stage 4, or they're struggling with stage 4 and they're having trouble with stage 3. Like, the whole point of this core and paths structure is to make sure that we don't leave those lower ability students behind, and we actually upskill them so that they have really good numeracy. Not everyone should be doing Maths Advanced when they get to year 11. That's an aspiration and that's a goal, but that's not. Yeah, if you just get there's a danger that you'll turn kids off maths if you make them do complex maths. There's also another question in the chat about why not changing the subject of a formula in the standard book. It's because it's in the syllabus, but it's not recommended as a standard path. So so some things are meant to be taught during the year 11 math standard course, not necessarily in years 9 and 10. But I guess if you want to, you can teach it. That's fine. Okay. At the front of each of our books, we have a syllabus grid that shows you each of the topics from the syllabus matched to the exercise, matched to the chapters. So these are the topics for number and algebra, and then measurement and space, statistics and probability. Just talking about differentiation, we've designed a series that supports all types of students, not just the high achievers. We really care about those students who are struggling, and we also care about those students in the middle. Like, it's very easy to neglect one of those groups. So the improvements that we made in the last edition was we started to color code the questions according to ability level, and we also explicitly labeled the questions under that were problem solving, reasoning, and communicating, and these are the working mathematically processes. So we've designed a book that's not too dull and boring, not too hard for students, but that doesn't mean it's too easy either. We want to promote to students that maths is hard, but worth doing. It's worth the effort. So we've provided lots of optional extension work to provide those flexible learning pathways. We've taken a spiral curriculum approach to the textbook. We always have revision of previous year's topics and some extension work on next year's topics. At the end of each chapter, we have the Power Plus extension exercise, and our advanced books have faster progress, less revision, and harder topics. Okay, so let me show you a chapter. If you're a regular user of New Century Maths, you will be used to seeing these pages. So this is chapter 5, Algebra and Equations, from our Year 7 book. And I've also tried to include comments that the feedback we've been getting from teachers using our series. So at the front of each chapter, we have a chapter outline showing what's covered in algebra and equations. So this is, so there are 13 things to be learned, I guess. And we've also shown which working mathematically processes are covered in each one. So Those codes stand for understanding, fluency, problem solving, reasoning, and communication. We also have a word bank, which is like a preview glossary that shows you what's going to be covered. And each of the word banks comes with an online quiz on our Nelson MindTap platform. So this little drop pin icon means Nelson MindTap. We also have a full glossary at the back of the book. So this is what the next page, the next double page spread looks like. So on the left, we've got the Nelson MindTap table showing you all the resources that are attached to this chapter that are available online. So you can see we've got videos, interactives, quizzes, skill sheets, worksheets, puzzles, and presentations. And then on the right-hand side, we've got the skill check exercise of prerequisite skills. And we've also got the online quiz for that. So some questions from this skill check have been selected for an online quiz. And then inside, this is where I was talking about the chunking of the material. So we've got really clear examples, and anything that's important is put in a box like that. Anything that's in bold red is a glossary term. And you can see again on the site here, we've got two interactive activities, I guess, from Nelson MindTap. Okay, and we've got these summary boxes as well. Okay, this is a really important page. This is a very colorful one. So this is an exercise. And what can you notice about the exercise? The first thing I want you to notice that we've actually given students knowledge where they can find the answers, what page they are, so they don't have to keep flicking back and forth, where to put the bookmark, whether digitally or in print form. And then we've got, can you see here, we've got multiple choice questions. We've also got questions that are color coded by level of difficulty. So you've got the 3 foundation, standard, and complex colors. And then we've also got the UFRC, which stands for understanding, fluency, reasoning, and communicating. So we've actually labeled those questions that are reasoning, communicating, or problem solving. We assume that every question is understanding and fluency. And just to show you that we have got harder questions as well, and dealing with problem solving, here are 2 examples from our Year 7 book. Yeah, so Sarah, anything to add?
I just think that, when teaching all, the huge range of students at comprehensive high school, see pretty much everybody. So just my observations are, we do have the multiple choice and the free response questions, but they're littered throughout the exercises. And I just think that, like, even looking at number 12 there, that is a challenging multiple choice question. The answers are sitting there. And I just think with NAPLAN being online and that sort of thing, we still try and encourage our students, please write all your working out down. And even heading towards the HSC with the multiple choice, it's not just that obvious, oh, I'll just pick an option here. You actually have to think it through and do some working out to figure out the answer. There are so many elements in that question. It's kill leaders and it's 1 year and from the beginning parts of it. So I think training the students early with this sort of thinking is just in their favor, working towards, that ultimate the last 2 years at school. And I don't think you can start early enough with that sort of thing. So that's one thing that always strikes me about when the students are sitting in class looking at those multiple choice, that they're all the way through. It's not just, oh, they're the easy ones. There's some multiple choice there. There's the full range of the way you have to attack a multiple choice as well as a free response question.
Yeah, and have you noticed how we go beyond just drill and practice? It's not just here's 10 questions on the same thing. We try to have some engaging problems and real and applications of maths, and we're trying to appeal to teenagers on how maths is used in everyday life here. Okay, so yep, some more feedback from teachers. Okay, we also think that mental skills, non-calculator maths, calculator-free maths is really important because, I mean, this is not a particular syllabus dot point, but we do teach mathematics holistically. So we do, and also mental skills are also tested in NAPLAN. So it's really important that students be able to manipulate number, have a great number sense, and be able to estimate by doing things like learning tricks on how to multiply by 9, 11, and 12. So again, there's questions in the textbook, but there's also a quiz online on this sort of thing. I think one thing that makes us unique to our competitors is that we have inbuilt pedagogy in our series. So every chapter does include classroom activities, investigations, teaching ideas. It's not just theory and then exercises and drill. It includes teaching and learning support. And as Sarah alluded to, this is so important because we've got a lot of new and out of field teachers in classrooms today. And even the experienced teachers like us don't have time to plan really productive lessons. So it's really handy to have a book that has all the ideas in it as something to fall back on. I mean, yes, still go online and still investigate, still Google lessons or ideas, but at least you've got something practical in the book that's there ready for that teacher who's just been told they're going to be teaching these classes today. The other important thing is it's actually the textbook, the series is written by New South Wales teachers, for New South Wales teachers. So they're actually our authors are experienced teachers who are including the ideas and knowledge and experience in the textbook. They're not academics, they're not computer programmers, they're not uni students or tutors, they're experienced teachers. So they've included many classroom investigations and practical activities. We've also provided work solutions to every question in the book, and that's to help teachers as well. It's not a heavy text, that's high concept, so teachers can just pick up the book and go with it. There isn't like a whole manual at the front of the book on what this icon means, what this grid means, and what you have to do. It's actually teachers in the spirit, breadth, and depth of the syllabus. And one piece of feedback we keep getting back is that you've designed a book that reflects how I teach and the way I teach, and that's really reassuring to hear. And as we showed you before, we've got rich problems and applications. So speaking of which, here's an idea that you could use in the classroom. So this is a Year 7 lesson on the square metre. So students mark out what a square metre is like in the classroom. They clear all the furniture out, and then they work out how many people can sit in a square metre. Can 2 people sit in a square metre? Would it be comfortable? And what about if you had your desk, you had to sit at your desk? So how many people can you sit in the square metre now? So how much area do you and your desk occupy? And we've even updated this activity to include the pandemic, which hopefully for students of the future will be part of history, but we can tell them that back in 2020, people were socially distancing and were allocated an area of 4 square metres in restaurants and other public spaces. If each student was allocated an area of 4 square metres, then how many students could fit inside your classroom? So it's really meaningful and realistic maths that's taken from today's headlines, I guess. We've also included, this is more of the inbuilt pedagogy. So we've included technology activities and also did you know interesting facts. So on the left there, we've got like a spreadsheet activity, working out the perimeter and area of a chicken pen. But we've also got activities on dynamic geometry, whether it be GeoGebra or Desmos, and also using the internet. And then on the right-hand side, did you know that last year, pi was calculated to 100 trillion places by Google Cloud, by Emma Haruka Iwao, who is working for Google Cloud. So that figure is always increasing, that record is always being broken. And then at the end of each exercise, we've got a Power Plus, which is an extension exercise. We've also got extension work, as I showed you before, and they'll always be marked like this, with this bracket on the margin. And we've also got any path work in stage 5 will also be marked like this. We've also been guided by learning design principles and modern research and evidence-based research on learning theory and how the brain works. So we've chunked and decluttered the content so that it's fresh and uncomplicated. We have a focus on numeracy and literacy. We've got all the interactivity from Nelson MindTap. We focus on core maths concepts and skills, and we have plain English explanations at appropriate reading levels, and that's been confirmed by a literacy consultant. So at the end of a chapter, we have language of maths, which is a list of keywords and some literacy questions. We also have a topic summary mind map exercise. This is some comments about another textbook from teachers who love New Century Math and why they chose us. And then at the end of each chapter, we have a test yourself exercise. And then after every 3 chapters, we have a practice set. So there are about 4 in there's 4 in each book. And there's also a general practice set right at the end as well. Okay, here's our literacy focus again. So at the front of each book, we have a list of mathematical verbs. And at the back of each book, we have glossary and index. Yep, combined. Nelson MindTap includes an ebook, over 100 videos, over 200 worksheets, all those online quizzes on the chapter content. We've got something called Twig videos, which are 5-minute documentaries showing the background or context of maths. We've also got PhET interactives, which are online simulations for students to experiment with maths concepts. So this is what the MindTap platform looks like, the interface. So this is chapter 5, algebra and equations. And if I drill down to 509, it shows you all the things associated with 509. So the video tutorial, the textbook pages, the worksheet, the Twig video, the interactive, as well as the Power Plus. So here's an example of an online quiz, the prior learning check. I've deliberately ticked the wrong answer and it tells you you're incorrect, but I didn't expect them to not tell me the right answer. They just give me feedback on, well, have another go, and here's a clue. And then we've got these word bank quiz where you have to drag and drop words to their definitions. We've got the puzzle sheets and the skill sheets here. And we've got the video tutorials made by our flipped classroom teachers, and they're closed captioned, okay? And our video tutorial teachers, you may recognize these 4 teachers. They might be in your local area. And then our worksheet authors working on Nelson MindTap are there below as well. And 2 of them, after working for us, went on to work with Eddie Wu at the mathematics growth team. Okay, this is an example of a Twig video where we're looking at a formula for the lifespan of animals. It depends on it's an inverse proportion formula involving their heartbeat rate. So this little elephant shrew creature has 800 beats per second heartbeat, and it can be expected to live for 2.38 years. Okay, so it looks like this in the MindTap environment. And these are the PhET interactive simulations. So this is where students can manipulate these figures online. This is helping them understand how to multiply decimals. So they try different numbers using area, I guess. And this is the answers that they get. So this is one on algebra. And here, this is me trying to build 2x minus 3 using these cards. And if I get the right answer, it will go into the box. It won't reject it. Okay. And then for teachers, we've got topic tests, teaching programs, work solutions to every question, which can be switched on for students. The new thing is that you can customize the ebook, so you can reorder the content, remove content, or add links to the web or self-created resources. So if we run a webinar next term, I will try to show you more about Nelson Mindtap. We can assign tasks and assignments, assessments, and Gradebook records student progress, either as marks or just that they've completed the task. Oh, okay, something important to note. You may have heard that Signpost Maths and Insight Maths are no longer being published. So that makes us now the only series that is written completely by New South Wales authors and not an adaptation of a Victorian national series. Just recently, earlier this year, we got an email from a school that said that on the right there, we've been using Textbook X for the past 2 years due to decisions being made from higher up. We found the product to be incomplete and something that could only be used in conjunction with another book. So we have chosen New Century Maths as we feel that the online offering, it's a complete product that we can use exclusively. So just a few important things, what to look for when reviewing a New South Wales maths text. Does it embrace the New South Wales syllabus? You need to check that there's New South Wales on the cover, or is it an Australian curriculum book? Are the authors known in New South Wales? Have they taught in New South Wales? Does it have 2 levels of text for stage 5 to provide flexible pathways? Is there syllabus support? So are there teaching programs, syllabus grids, scope and sequence, answer to queries? Does it cover New South Wales specific content not found in the Australian curriculum? Now, I didn't think there was that much New South Wales specific content, but when I went to investigate it, there's actually all these things. So earning, investing money, like all the wages and salaries and tax, that's not actually part of the Australian curriculum. So make sure when you're reviewing textbooks that they include these financial maths things. So simple and compound interest as well. Make sure they include compass bearings and significant figures. And then you can see all those stage 5 paths things there. I guess the important ones there are general equation of a line, point gradient formula, changing the subject of a formula, inverse variation, and even with the networks, Eulerian trails and circuits and standard deviation. Sarah, do you have anything to add or comment there?
I just think with the all those coordinate methods in geometry and equation of a line and those sorts of things, because so much of that is assumed knowledge going into stage 6, and they've got to be able to move along with it and just really apply it. Like we can't leave those sorts of things out of our stage 5. So it's just so important the students have the foundation so they can definitely achieve, as best they can once they're in that stage 6 path.
Sure. Okay. Now, all right, very quickly, why do we need new textbooks if the syllabus content hasn't changed much? Well, no, yes, but the structuring of the syllabus has changed. The changes are minor in year 7, as I've shown you, but they do increase gradually from years 8 to 10. Teaching with old texts can be confusing for new teachers or out-of-field teachers, and it's safer to use texts that are precisely mapped to the new syllabus so that nothing falls through the cracks. And don't forget, stage 5 core is now quite hard, so those old stage 5.1, 5.2 books are no longer adequate. Don't forget networks, and don't forget the clearer pathways to the HSC courses for years 9 and 10. Okay, and now over to Sophia from our sales team, who will talk to you about when these books will be available.
Thanks,
Robert.
Sophia. Thank you. Yes, I'm Sophia Burton. I'm one of the New South Wales learning consultants. Just a couple of things. So we've got 7 and 9 and 9 advanced will be available in term 4 of this year. And I just wanted to go through quickly. Robert's touched on the whole Nelson Mindtap scenario. The book will be $72.95 with Nelson Mindtap, or you can just pay $39.95 for just the courseware, the digital version only. The proviso here is that you need to either book list our books or buy a full cohort set to gain access to the Nelson Mindtap platform. So with buying a book with Nelson Net, you used to get some additional resources, even if you didn't have a class set. To gain access to Nelson MindTap, you will need to buy a class set of our books. So that's just something to be aware of. As you can see, there's a lot of functionality to it. It's far superior to Nelson Net. And I would encourage you to reach out to your learning consultant and have a further chat. We'll be able to demonstrate the platform and talk more about pricing, you know, and all the other questions you'll have sort of over the next month or a few months. So for the next books, can I have the next slide, please? Oh, here we are. Okay, so, oh, sorry. So year 8 is coming out in term 1 of next year, 2024, and 10 and 10 advanced will be a bit later on in the year. It may still get brought forward a little bit, but at the moment we're saying term 3, but watch this space. We will try and get it out as quickly as we can. And again, the pricing remains the same. And then, as I said to you, please reach out to one of your consultants for further information about Nelson MindTap or anything else that you may need. And thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, Susanna, are there any questions we didn't
Yes.
get time for? We've got some time left now, I guess, to answer some questions.
Yeah, there is. There was one in the Q&A. Let me just pull it up.
Okay, while
so-
you're doing that, I'll just mention too, you can download this PowerPoint at that link at the top there, and then we should make the we'll make the video available next week. Yeah, so and there are some questions that we can't answer today, but we will. But if you ask, we'll get back to you as well.
So one question that came through from Jane is Year 10 core Chapter 9 networks the same as Year 10 advanced networks for Chapter 16?
Yes. Yep. Can you say that again? I just want to make sure I'm saying yes to the right thing.
So is Year 10 core Chapter 9 networks the same as Year 10 advanced networks in Chapter 16?
Yes, it is. Yep. Yep. So we've tried to run, both. Yeah, we've tried to make them different versions of the same topic, but with networks, it's a path topic. So there's no variation. That's right. Okay. Okay. Nelson Net will still exist for a couple of years, won't it? I think so. Yeah, because there will still be schools using the old editions. Yeah.
And I just saw a question come through. Nelson MindTap is a yearly fee. You would need to look at this new platform as a subscription-based model. So you have to pay for this every year. However, looking at the pricing, as I said to you, reach out to your learning consultant because there will be some options available.
Yeah, there's a question about chapter headings for the Year 10 books. I did go through them, so they're in the PowerPoint. So we have got chapter headings for the Year 10 books there.
But they are on the scope and sequences. Someone has written that as well. I think that if you've asked for your scope and sequence from the consultant, they would match up, wouldn't they? Because I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
they do when I looked at them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're also in the scope and sequence.
Yeah.
Would the content be challenging enough for students in a selective school? Yes. I used to teach at a selective school. Definitely. I mean, we cover the whole course and we cover it pretty rigorously as well. Like, you know, as I said in one of the slides, we've been doing this since almost 30 years now. And when we first did these books, there was no 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. They were called advanced, intermediate, and general, which is why we had a maths advanced book. And then even after that they got rid of the name of those courses, we kept the name maths advanced. And now we've come full circle because there is a maths advance in stage 6, and then this book is actually for those students going towards that course. So it's come out, it's worked out really well for us. And the new syllabus really suits the way that we've written the book and programmed the book over the years. The new syllabus also fits it really well. So it's like a perfect storm at the moment that that you can use our books to program any kind of pathway that you need for your school and for your students and for your classes. You just select the topics that you need. Yep. Okay. Were there any more questions? Samples will be available soon, I guess. Are we in the middle of the term now? I've forgotten.
Pretty much.
All right, maybe early next term then?
Yep.
They're all in the pipeline. Yeah.
Just one more question there. Yes, there will be, you will be able to demo Nelson MindTap. So we do have some options there as well. And we'll be letting you know further, in the next month and few months, exactly how that's going to look.
If there are any more questions, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight and just hanging out and listening to us. But yeah, again, as Robert said, these slides will be sent out along with the webinar recording, and we will also send out, if you want to have kind of a more in-depth discussion about Nelson MindTap, we will send you to your learning consultants to book in an appointment, and they'll be able to speak to you one-on-one. Thank you, Sarah and Robert and Sophia, for presenting. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to end this session, but it was lovely to talk to you all, and have a very nice night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you.